What's poppin', people? It's Dante. Thinking about movement on the streets, right? Movement and street photography, and why movement should influence our compositions, right? I believe that ultimately a photograph, the composition that you create, it's a reflection of your intuition, right? Your gut instinct. And so because of this, I find that walking and photographing through a scene, you know, through the thing that you're photographing, is probably the most interesting and optimal solution to practicing street photography, right? Where, you know, we have these two techniques that are thrown around in the community, that being fishing and hunting. Hunting, obviously, being on the go, walking, looking for those decisive moments. However, fishing is something that you're sort of looking for on a street corner. Maybe you're sitting around, being more passive, kind of camping in the corner. Think of Call of Duty, camping in the corner with a trench gun, waiting for the enemy to rush through the door. And so, yeah, I actually believe that through loosely snapshotting and photographing while moving your feet, yeah, you can actually make more interesting photographs, right? Because to me, the name of the game is in the spontaneous moment, right? It's in that spontaneous fraction of a second where you're going to find something. And so because of the unpredictable nature of the streets, I actually believe that the more that you're walking and moving, yeah, just the more opportunities you're going to have to make something. And so for me, if I ever sit around and I'm stagnant and I'm fishing, I actually find it to be boring, firstly, and then secondly, the photograph becomes a little bit stale. And so by throwing your body out there and sort of just hurling yourself out there into the abyss, getting closer and closer, photographing loosely, you're gonna find more surprises with the photography that you're embarking on. And I think this is something good, right? I think that we should strive to make something that's spontaneous, that's raw, that's candid. And so by moving and being fluid while photographing, yeah, you can find yourself more surprised by the results. You can find the photographs you make to have this spontaneous sort of feel to them. And yeah, the point is to just photograph through things, right? Where people are walking towards me, I'm photographing them, I'm moving towards them, right? There's something about movement and how it can influence you and the photograph you make. And, you know, consider the viewfinder, right? With a viewfinder camera, you have to raise the camera to your eye, you're looking at it from this particular, you're looking at life through this particular angle. But through removing the viewfinder, you can become more nuanced with the compositions you make, sort of throwing the camera around in a variety of ways. And yeah, I actually believe that because of this removal of the viewfinder, you can play more, right? You can get closer, you can experiment with different angles, you can experiment more with the removal of a viewfinder, right? Where a viewfinder, it's really not necessary in the current year of 2024. If anything, it just makes the cameras bulkier, bigger, and more cumbersome. And so maybe through movement and photographing loosely without a viewfinder, yeah, this seems to be the best solution, right? So the Ricoh GR3X, the Ricoh GR3, certainly the best cameras for street photography as it stands. And I also think that, you know, when you're photographing anything, right? It could be a landscape, it could be a photograph of the light that's peering beyond that building right there. You know, if I walk and move while photographing it, I'm having this nuanced sort of difference between each frame that I make. And so another practical suggestion is, you know, when I'm photographing people, it's usually one and done. Maybe I'll photograph once, twice, 3 times. It really depends when you're moving. But the point is, you can photograph multiple shots while moving your feet, which will then give you more dynamics to work with when looking at the frames later on when you make your selections. And so, yeah, at the end of the day, I really believe that sitting around, camping on a corner, while it has its merits, the ultimate solution to practicing street photography is to just keep moving onwards, just keep walking, and just let life flow towards you, right? You don't have to really be in a rush at all or be passive and waiting, but to just let the chips fall as they may, let life flow towards you and sort of photograph your way through life, right? Just keep moving your feet and yeah, just snapshot on repeat. And ultimately, yeah, I believe this to be the supreme way to do this thing. I love watching the way that the light shines and glimmers off these buildings. It's such a nice little thing to photograph. Pro tip, yeah, look at the reflected light on the buildings. So beautiful. We have the best architecture in the country here in Philadelphia, by the way. Pretty lucky to live here.